Hello everybody, welcome to UK Gaming Network. I'm Brian, also known as UK Gen Zoidberg, and this is Best 10, where I offer up my favourite games to fit a selected theme. Last week I made a video all about my favourite Mega Drive conversions of games that originated on the Amiga. Turns out that subject was quite popular, so this week I'm back to look at games that went in the opposite direction. All 10 of the games that you're going to see in this list all came out first for the Sega console, and were then later converted to the Amiga. There are no arcade conversions here, so don't go expecting the likes of Golden Axe or Bonanza Brothers, although both of those games did get excellent Amiga versions. As always, this list is merely my own opinion, and it's perfectly fine if you don't agree with me. Please feel free to let me know in the comments if there are any games that you would have placed higher or lower in the list, or maybe there's something that you think I should have included altogether. Now though, let's start the countdown with my number 10. I'm including The Lion King in this best 10, not because I think it's a good game, but rather because it is a great conversion. By making the game A1200 only, it allowed the artist to keep all of the vibrant colours that helped the Mega Drive original to stand out. Much of the game's soundtrack is included too, with recognisable tunes from the movie that you can hum along to as you play. Sad thing is though, as a game it's horrible. Level design is just plain bad, with rage-inducing difficulty spikes thrown in all over the place. It's impossible to have any fun whatsoever. Rumour has it this was a design choice to stop people being able to rent the game and complete it in a weekend. All it made me do though is want to switch it off. Multiple games from the EA Sports range made their way over to the Amiga, including PGA Tour, FIFA, and another one that I'll talk about later in this video. The one that got away though, and the one that upset me the most, was EA Hockey. Maybe it's the fact that I was born in Canada, but I've always been partial to a bit of ice hockey. So when Mutant League Hockey turned up on the A1200 in 2015, I was very happy to play it. It's a version of hockey populated with robots, trolls and skeletons, using the same basic gameplay engine as EA Hockey itself. It's nowhere near as good as the real deal, but a poorer version of EA Hockey is better than no version at all in my opinion, and it's undeniably fun in 2-player mode. Misadventures of Flink was the first console game produced by the same team that had made Lionheart for the Amiga. It's fair to say though that you may have been able to work this out for yourself based on the superb graphical style of designer Henk Nieborg. It really is a fantastic looking game, and even if it was released today, I'd be singing the praises of the pixel art. They were given the opportunity to make a game for the Sega console after starting to work for Psygnosis as a freelance team. Following the Mega Drive, it also came out on the Sega CD, and it was this version that would be converted to the CD32 a few months later. While the game certainly has its flaws, it stands as just the type of game that the CD32 needed more of. By 1996, the Amiga was on its last legs commercially, but what Domark thought players really needed was a conversion of Total Football, a year after it was released on the Mega Drive. This meant that it was sharing what shelf space was left with the likes of Chaos Engine 2, Slamtill and Fighting Spirit, but perhaps crucially, it also came out around the same time as the truly awful Kickoff 96. Like EA's FIFA before it, this was an attempt to make a football game with an isometric viewpoint, but unlike EA's efforts, this one was actually worth playing. For starters, the action is a lot faster and smoother, but the higher viewing angle also makes it easier to keep track of the action. Regardless of what I or any other critic says, there's no better way to form your own opinion of a game than playing it for yourself. I fell victim to this for many years, as I didn't play Pugsy either on the Mega Drive or the Amiga because the magazines told me not to. I should have known to trust my own instincts though, as developer Traveller's Tales has never let me down. Based on a character that featured in a famous public domain demo, this is a charming platform puzzle game, and one that I really enjoyed playing. Like the best puzzle games, the fun comes from experimenting with the objects just to see what you can do with the game's physics. Developer The Dome handled the Amiga conversion, and despite the game looking a little drab thanks to the reduction in colours, it's a decent effort. Infamously, there are two different games based on Disney's Aladdin, one made by Capcom for the SNES, and the Mega Drive release designed by Dave Perry, who went on to make Earthworm Jim a year later. It's the latter game that ended up on the Amiga, and unlike The Lion King, this one managed to marry the excellent presentation to an enjoyable game too. The only drawback to the Amiga version, which retains all the fantastic animation and music, is the controls. It did support a 2-button joypad, but it forced you to choose whether you wanted the second button to jump or throw apples. Neither option worked that well, as you were stuck with the fiddly alternative either way. My main criticism of Road Rash is one that can be levelled at the game itself, rather than any particular conversion. This is a game that sold itself as a combat racer, allowing players to fight and race at the same time. Yet I always found that the two sides of the game don't really gel. If I was to get stuck into the fights, I would always have great fun punching and kicking the opponents off their bikes, but I would barely manage to finish a race higher than 5th. Simply gunning it for the finish line though, I would win every single race with ease. But then the game would quickly become boring. There is fun to be had though, and the Amiga version, converted by Peakstar Software, was surprisingly close to the original. The biggest concern that I had loading up the Amiga version of John Madden Football for the first time was how were they going to make choosing your plays as simple and intuitive as it was on the console. Turns out I didn't need to worry, as the solution they came up with is surprisingly elegant and works a treat. The visuals are not quite as slick as they are on the Mega Drive, but otherwise this is exactly the same game that I sank many hours into against my brother. They nailed the system first time out, and there's a reason that the series has endured for 35 years. Unlike the modern iterations though, this doesn't get bogged down with all of the other stuff, and lets you just get on with the game. And that's why I would still rather play this, even after all these years. Can you even call yourself a racing game fan if you've never lost a race because of a strategically placed breakfast waffle? The concept of micro machines, race toy cars around various rooms of your home, remains pure genius to this day, but it was the multiplayer mode that really made it stand out. Get two players together who knew the tracks like the back of their hand, and races could go on for ages. Although the game was originally made for the NES in 1991, that version never officially made it out of the US. It was the Mega Drive version in 1993 that really caught the world's attention, thanks to the super smooth high-speed gameplay. The Amiga version came out about 9 months later, and although it lost some of the visual flair, particularly the parallax background, it was thankfully just as much fun to play. Upon its release in 1993, EA themselves described the Amiga version of Desert Strike as an enhanced edition. What this boiled down to was some redrawn graphics, including better looking menu and map screens, and more realistic sound effects taken straight from military training videos. From a gameplay point of view, the only real difference is having to press the spacebar or second button on your controller to cycle through the weapons. It's still a great game today though. In 1994, Ocean Software released an Amiga version of Jungle Strike 2, but there are two reasons why it's not included in this list. One, it's not a very good conversion, and two, as a sequel, it was a major step down in quality over the first game, even on the original Mega Drive version. So those are my best 10 Mega Drive games converted to the Amiga. I hope you enjoyed this list and didn't disagree with me too much. If there's a subject that you'd like to see me cover in this list, please head over to our Discord, and you'll find the link to that in the video description, where there is a section dedicated to game suggestions. You can also join in the conversation about gaming with our community members. For just £1.99 a month, you can also become a VIP member of the channel, and that will grant you early access to many of our videos, including this one. Alternatively, you can also show your support for the channel by simply liking this video and subscribing. A full playlist of all the previous episodes should be on screen now if you have missed any. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, happy retro gaming everybody. Bye for now.